All right, welcome back to the deep dive. We are continuing our audio tour of Minami-Osawa, Tokyo's hidden utopia. And if you've been following along, you know we have just completed quite the climb.
We certainly have. We started down in the valley, walked through that incredible Sakura tunnel, and now finally we're at the top.
We made it, and you can really feel the difference up here.
Oh, absolutely. The atmosphere changes.
Yeah, the air feels, I don't know, lighter, crisper. It's definitely cooler than it was down by the station.
And the view.
The view is just massive. To my left and right, there's this wide, straight, paved path just stretching out, and you can see the mountains way off in the distance. It feels like we're walking along the spine of the world or something.
In a geographical sense, we kind of are. We're standing right on the boundary line that separates the Tamanu town area,
Minami-Osawa.
exactly, from the older, more sort of organic sprawl of Machida City. This ridge is the natural border.
It's so peaceful. I mean, right now, just listen for a second. You hear birds singing, the wind, and that rhythmic thump, thump, thump of joggers. There are so many runners up here.
It's a prime spot for it.
It feels like the ultimate health spot. You know, just a pure green road for people to clear their heads.
It is lovely, but before we get too comfortable with this image of health and tranquility,
Yeah.
we really need to talk about where we are standing. Because this road has a name and a history that is, well, pretty much the exact opposite of peaceful.
Okay, let's unpack this. First, the name. I'm looking at the map data here, and it's spelled O-N-E.
Right.
So my brain immediately goes to one green road, like the number one road in the area.
That's a very common assumption, but no. It is written as one in English characters, but in Japanese, the pronunciation is oni.
Oni, got it. Okay, so not the number.
Not the number. One just means ridge. So we are standing on the Ridge Green Road, or the one Ryokudo. It's a literal description.
Okay.
But locals, especially the older generation who have been here since before the new town was even a thing, they know it by a completely different name. They often call it the Senchadoro.
Senchadoro. My Japanese is a little rusty, but doesn't Sencha mean
Tank.
the tank road?
Exactly, the tank road.
Wait, hold on. We are standing on this beautiful tree-lined path. It's full of joggers in expensive running shoes and people walking their dogs.
I know.
And you're telling me this used to be a road for tanks?
I am. I want you to try a little thought experiment with me. Look at this wide, straight path.
Okay.
Now, in your mind, strip away the asphalt, replace it with just churned up mud and clay, and then replace the sound of birdsong with the roar of like a V12 diesel engine and the screeching, clanking sound of heavy metal tracks just crushing the earth.
That is a terrifying image.
During World War II, specifically in the late 1930s and early 40s, this specific ridge was used as a test course for the Imperial Japanese Army's tanks.
Why here? I mean, Minami-Osawa today is this suburban paradise. Why bring heavy artillery here?
Well, you have to remember, back in the 1940s, this wasn't a suburb. This was the boonies. It was just wild, undulating hills.
Aye.
And the geology here is key. The soil in the Tama Hills is mostly Kanto loam, which is volcanic ash soil.
Volcanic ash soil. That sounds messy.
It is. When Kanto loam gets wet, it turns into this very specific, slippery, really difficult mud. It's like soup.
So it was a natural obstacle course.
Exactly. If you're engineering a tank, say the Type 97 Chiha, which was the workhorse tank of that era, you need to know if the suspension is going to snap when it hits a rut.
Or if the tracks will just get completely stuck.
Right, or if the tracks will slip and get bogged down in deep mud. This ridge, with its natural ups and downs and that difficult soil, was the perfect off-road torture test.
So every time a jogger's foot hits the pavement here, they're literally running over the ghosts of war machines.
Precisely. It's a paradox of land use, isn't it? This strip of land was first valued because it was difficult. It was hard to get through, good for testing limits.
And now it's valued because it's easy.
Exactly. Flat, paved, accessible. The function has completely flipped, but the footprint on the map is identical.
That is, wow. It really changes how you see this path. It's not just a park, it's like a scar that's healed over.
And speaking of healing, there is another layer to this ridge that sits right alongside that military history. If we look off to the side of the road here, you see that fenced-off area with those specific trees inside.
Yeah, I see it. It looks like they're protecting something. Is that a cherry blossom tree? It looks a little different from the ones we saw in the tunnel earlier.
It is. This is where the story shifts from, heavy metal to something much more fragile. That is the Tama no Hoshi Sakura.
Tama no Hoshi Sakura.
The Tama Star Cherry.
The star cherry. That sounds like something out of a fantasy novel. What makes it so special?
Well, think about the cherry blossoms you see all over Tokyo, the famous Someyoshino.
Right.
Those are beautiful, but they're all clones. They're cultivars created by humans. Every single one is genetically identical.
Which is why they all bloom at the exact same time.
Yeah, exactly. But the Tamanohoshizakura, it's wild. It is a naturally occurring species indigenous only to this specific hilly area. It's not a clone, it's a survivor.
And the star name. Is that about the shape?
It is. It refers to the petals. The Someyoshino petals overlap and they make a round shape. The star cherry petals are more separated, a bit sharper. They look like little stars.
So we have a native, wild, star-shaped flower growing right on a tank testing ground. The symbolism there is pretty heavy.
It is. Nature reclaiming the land. But it's not exactly a simple victory for nature. It's more of a struggle. These trees are incredibly rare and fragile.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in fact, our sources mention a specific incident from 2023. There was a massive low-pressure system, basically a severe storm, that swept through here.
I think I remember that. The winds were insane that year.
Right, and those winds actually damaged some of these rare star cherry trees. That's why you see all the extra protection and the preservation efforts right now. It adds this layer of fragility to the whole story. You have the tough history of the tanks, which is all about brute force. And then you have these delicate, rare flowers that need our help just to survive the weather.
It's like the ridge is holding two completely opposite realities at the same time. The indestructible tank and the fragile flower.
Exactly. It's all layers. You have the geological layer, the ridge itself. You have the military layer, the tanks. You have the botanical layer, the star cherry. But
There's another one?
if you look down at your feet, there's actually a fourth layer.
Okay.
Just look at the pavement itself. What do you see painted there?
Okay, let me look. It's really faded.
Yeah.
Barely visible white paint. It's a number. It says 30. A big number, 30.
A speed limit sign, 30 kilometers per hour.
Okay, wait a minute. This is a pedestrian path. I know we have some fast runners up here, but nobody is sprinting at 30 kilometers per hour. That's like Olympic level speed.
And even for cyclists, a painted 30 on the asphalt is weird for a park path. Usually you'd see a small metal sign on a pole, not something that looks like it belongs on a highway.
So my first thought is, it must be the tanks again. Is this from the tank days? Did the tanks have a speed limit of 30? Like, please drive your tank responsibly?
I love that image, a polite tank driver obeying traffic laws. But no, remember, in the 1940s, this was all mud. There was no asphalt to paint a number on.
Right, of course. So it's not from the war. And it's obviously not for the current park. So we have a ghost sign from a time in between.
Precisely. This brings us to the construction layer. And to understand this, we have to zoom out to the 1980s. This is when the Tama Newtown project was going full throttle.
Ah, the new town boom. We're talking about building homes for hundreds of thousands of people from scratch.
But before you can build the homes, you have to build the land. The developers were literally carving mountains apart. They were slicing off the tops of hills to fill in the valleys. We're talking about millions of cubic meters of earth being moved.
That's basically terraforming.
It was. And to move that much earth, you need an army of dump trucks, cement mixers, and heavy machinery. And those trucks...
They need a road.
They need a road.
Oh, so they use the ridge.
They repurposed the old military scar, they paved it, reinforced it, and they turned it into a dedicated service artery for the construction of the city. That 30 on the ground, that was the speed limit for the heavy dump trucks carrying the earth that would eventually become the foundations of all the houses down in the valley.
That explains the width. I was saying earlier, this path feels like a highway. It was highway.
A dedicated haul road.
Yeah.
And if you look really closely, you might have to squint a little bit. You can see more than just the number. Look right at the edges of the path.
Oh, I think I see it. There are these really faint white lines running along the sides.
Those are the rosakutai, the roadside strips or shoulders. If you were to measure the width of this pedestrian path, it is exactly the width of a standard 2-lane road.
That is wild. It's like finding a fossil in the pavement. We're walking on a phantom highway.
It's what's called a palimpsest.
A what now?
A palimpsest. It's an old manuscript where the original writing has been scraped off so someone could write something new on top, but you can still see the faint traces of the old text underneath.
So this road is a landscape palimpsest.
That's it.
I love that. Layer 1, nature, the ridge. Layer 2, war, the tanks. Layer 3, industrial construction, the trucks.
And now layer 4, leisure, the joggers in the park. and they are all existing in the exact same physical space.
And the only reason we even know about Layer 3, the trucks, is because the paint hasn't fully worn off yet.
Right. It's fading, though. Our sources say it gets harder and harder to see every year.
That's kind of profound, isn't it? Eventually, the friction from all these jogging shoes and stroller wheels is going to erase the 30 completely.
And the evidence of the machine age will be gone, and it will just be a park. We are living in this brief little window where we can still see the transition happening.
It really changes how you think about a suburb.
Different.
We tend to see suburbs as these sterile, historyless places that just sort of popped up yesterday. But Minami-Osawa is sitting on some serious trauma. War testing, landscape destruction, massive reconstruction.
It brings up this idea of infrastructure tourism.
Is that a real thing?
It is. It's becoming one.
Yeah.
Usually when people travel, they go to see, castles or temples. Infrastructure tourism is about finding beauty or interest in the functional skeleton of a city. Bridges, dams, roads.
Or like dark tourism, right? Visiting places with a heavy history. But this feels like light dark tourism.
It's localized dark tourism. You aren't visiting a battlefield in another country. You're on a jogging path in your neighborhood. But by knowing the history, by knowing about the tanks and the trucks, the whole experience becomes so much richer.
It stops being just a nice view and it starts being a story.
Exactly. When you know about the tanks, the birdsong sounds sweeter because you know the alternative was diesel engines. When you know about the trucks, the silence feels deeper because you know this used to be a noisy construction highway.
The contrast is what creates the appreciation.
It really is.
It also makes you feel like a detective. I mean, noticing a 30 on the ground seems so trivial, but once you pull on that one little thread, the whole history of 20th century Japan just sort of unspools.
It encourages you to look down. We spend so much time looking at our phones or, looking at the horizon, but the ground itself holds the memory.
Speaking of looking down versus looking up, we are currently up on this high ridge. But the tour doesn't end here, does it?
No. The ridge is just the connector. To get the full picture of Minami-Osawa, we have to descend.
And where we're going next. Honestly, if the tank road was a time travel story, the next stop is more like a teleportation story.
It really is. We are heading down into the valley on the other side of this ridge to a place called Nagaike Park.
And without spoiling too much, the deep dive is going to be about a bridge.
A very large, very famous bridge that has absolutely no business being in a quiet suburban park.
It's a bridge that physically moved, right? They literally picked it up from somewhere else and put it here.
Disassembled it piece by piece, transported it, and then reassembled it. It's a whole other story of obsession, preservation, and kind of engineering madness.
I cannot wait to get into that. But before we wrap up here, I just want to circle back to the Star Sherry for a second. We talked about how the wind damaged them. Is there a takeaway for us there?
I think so. I think the takeaway is resilience. The tank road is a story of the land being beaten up. Tanks crushed it, trucks paved over it. But the star cherry, this fragile native thing, is still holding on. It's growing there in the margins of all that industrial history.
Nature finds a way.
It does. And the community is helping it now. The fact that there are fences and preservation efforts shows that the values have shifted. We aren't prioritizing tanks or trucks on this ridge anymore. We're prioritizing the flower.
That's a huge shift.
It's a significant shift in the software of the city, even if the hardware is the same path.
The hardware is the asphalt, but the software has upgraded to preservation mode.
That's a great way to put it.
So, to recap our mission on the ridge today, we busted the myth of a one road, it's one for ridge. We uncovered the tracks of the Imperial Army tanks. We identified the rare star-shaped native cherries. And we solved the mystery of the phantom speed limit for 1980s dump trucks.
A very productive walk, I'd say.
It really makes you wonder what else we're walking over every day without realizing it.
And that's the question I want to leave everyone with today.
Go for it.
Next time you're out for a walk in your local area, whether it's a park, a back alley, or just the sidewalk in front of your house, stop and look for the imperfections. Look for a patch of mismatched asphalt. Look for a fence that seems to be protecting nothing. Look for a tree that seems slightly out of place.
The glitches in the matrix.
Exactly. And just ask yourself, why is this here? Because usually those little imperfections are the clues to a much bigger story. The land has a memory. It's just waiting for you to learn how to read it.
I'm going to be staring at the ground all week now. Thanks a lot.
Just don't walk into a pole.
I'll try my best. All right, everyone. Thank you for listening to this deep dive into the secret tank road of Minami-Osawa. Join us next time when we descend into Nagaike Park and confront the bridge that teleported.
You won't want to miss it. See you there.